So I, like probably most of you guys out there, hated reading in middle school and high school, even in college. I didn't even read the most of the assignments I had. I would go on Spark Notes. You know how it is. I'm sure people can relate to that. But I wanted to come on here and talk about how I got into reading and how you can get into reading and why it's a lot better than you might think. And you know, I like it more than watching TV shows, other than some of the classics like The Sopranos, The Wire, Game of Thrones, those type of shows. But sitting down with a good book, it's unbeatable, and you might not think you'll like it, but you give it a chance and you slowly ease into it, and you'll start to understand why I think it's superior to really any other form of entertainment. I think the first book that I gave a shot on my own was the Jordan Peterson book, 12 Rules for Life, which is funny because I don't really read anything like that anymore, but that's what I was seeing all over social media, so I gave it a try. I thought it was interesting, and I liked it, but it didn't really grip me, and it gave me the wrong impression of what reading can be. Um, it's those type of self-help books, and I'm not really calling his a self-help book, but I think those books give reading the wrong image. And if you're only reading self-help books, I don't think you realize how deep you can get into a subject, into a story, um, and learn some lessons over the course of many more pages than a self-help book, which is kind of a collection of what the author is trying to prove in their point in the self-help book. But you give a good historical fiction, a good fantasy, a good regular old novel a try, and it grips you. You really understand. You can get a lot more out of those than the books that are preaching to you. And so after I read 12 Rules to Life, I think there were a few other books scattered out around there, kind of the same self-helpish type, that I read over the course of a few years, maybe at the end of college and then a few years after college. But it wasn't until my girlfriend, actually, we went to Barnes and Noble. I think we were pretty bored, and I just told her to pick a random book for me in the historical fiction side section, and I would read it. And it ended up being an Eric Larson book, Thunderstruck, which I started reading it, and then that book really made me realize what reading could be, and I was gripped, and I ripped through that book so quickly, and then I just wanted more. So as a result, I ordered a bunch of Eric Larson books, and I think I've read maybe four of his books. And after that, I think I Googled authors that are similar to Eric Larson, and that's where it all started, and that's how I got deep into the historical fiction genre and even explored some other genres. But it's been great. So a common thing that people think is that they don't have enough time to read. And while, yeah, I mean, free time is could be slim, you could find a way. I go to the gym 5 a.m. I work full time. After work, I don't want to read right away. So usually, what I do is I read as I'm getting ready for bed, and sometimes I can read for 10 minutes and fall asleep while I'm reading, or I can read an hour, sometimes more. But that's my routine, is using reading as a way to wind down, and it really works for me, and I imagine it can work for you. I recommend getting maybe a book light you can clamp onto your bed frame, turn all the other lights off, and just focus on that one book, and it could really channel your mind and calm you down and get you ready for bed while you're reading a good book, and before you know it, you're ripping through books on a monthly basis. And at first, at least for me, it felt like I was forcing myself to do it, to read every night before bed, but now if I don't read before bed, I usually have trouble falling asleep. So it's a good habit to start. It's a good way to wind down. It's a great routine to have, and you learn while you're doing it, so it's great. And if you don't want to spend a lot of money on books, you can always get that Kindle subscription, or you can use some of those websites that I won't mention here, where you can get some books, ebooks for a, let's say, low price, and you could transfer them over to your Kindle. You can read them on your phone. The Apple has a good books app. The Kindle app is free. But starting there, I bet you'll expand out and want to do some more. And something I find so limiting about TV shows, while not all TV shows are like this, but a lot of them out there, you don't get into the heads of the characters. You don't understand what they're thinking. And shows kind of zoom right past those elements that you find in books. And I think that's where you learn the most from some of these stories, is what the characters are thinking and how they change. In a lot of stories, it's a lot of coming of age stories where you understand where this character matures, how they mature, and their thought process through that. And I think if you're reading books, you're getting a better understanding of human psychology and how you can navigate real life better just by reading these books. And when you're watching a TV show, while they're entertaining, you're really just getting the visual and the dialogue. You're not really getting anything deeper than that. Books, you spend many more hours within the same story that you could spend, I don't know, 8 episodes or a season in a TV show. So that would be 8 hours. It's just so different, and I genuinely think you'll get a lot more out of a book, even if it's the same exact story that you'll find on the TV show. The book goes a long way. And with books as well, you can read wherever you go. You can read at work on break. You can read on the train. You can read on an airplane, on an Uber ride, anywhere really. You can read. Well, I know you could watch a show. With the show, you need headphones. With the show, you need to lock in. But with a book, you could read a page or two, put it away, engage in conversation around you, then pick it back up. It's a lot more freeing in that regard. So yeah, that's really it. That's all I really have to say about reading and why you should read and how to kind of get into reading, or how I got into reading at least. And I'm sure that can translate over to some of the others that might be watching this. I'm sure there's maybe 3 people watching this, but that's okay. I didn't really plan on making this channel into a book channel. I just thought I'd make some Call of Duty commentaries and run with it, and the book stuff's been getting the most views, so I'm going to keep going with it. And I enjoy making book stuff, and obviously I enjoy reading. So as long as you guys watch these videos, I think I have 50 views on my other book one, which is nothing. I have some viral TikToks that have millions of views, but for some reason these 50 views feel like more to me than those millions on TikTok. So yeah, if you guys have any suggestions or anything like that, feel free. For now, I'll keep chipping away at some YouTube videos and see where this thing goes. But thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one.